Thank you very much, Albert. Our opponents say of him, the worst that they say of him, is that he's the best financial services and gaming minister Gibraltar has ever had. He'll do anything to ensure that we let him go. But I'm sure that you'll all agree with me that he still has a lot of work to do in Gibraltar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, after what we've been through in the past 36 months, it's an absolute pleasure to be back with you at what used to be an annual event at the Guildhall here in London. It's really quite remarkable to think that our last event here was 3 years ago. We gathered here together in 2019, weeks after we had won a third successive general election in Gibraltar. Our manifesto in that campaign was all about being geared up to deal with our withdrawal from the European Union and the establishment of a new relationship with the EU going forward. Oh, for those heady days when all we had to deal with was Brexit. But hey, them's the breaks, as others have said. We were, of course, entirely blind to what we were to have to face in the challenges that 2019 presented to us. Probably the biggest challenge that any elected government of Gibraltar has ever had to deal with. An airborne human disease that killed otherwise healthy people. In that time, we've received what is probably the greatest dividend in our relationship with the United Kingdom. Life-saving COVID-19 vaccines airlifted to Gibraltar by the Royal Air Force. As a result, Gibraltar became the first territory to complete a full population vaccination program. Those who had wisely chosen to do business in Gibraltar were the first in the world to be free to go about their business after lockdown. In that period, our relationship with the United Kingdom proved literally to be a lifesaver for Gibraltarians and workers in Gibraltar of all nationalities. Additionally, we were able to secure a sovereign guarantee from the United Kingdom from the Treasury in London to support our COVID borrowing of up to £500 million. That is as unprecedented as it was important for us, especially now that interest rates are rising due to President Putin's unconscionable war in the East, raising interest rates throughout Europe and the world. So I'll never tire of saying thank you to our friends in King Charles Street and in numbers 10 and 11 Downing Street for the support the Gibraltarians have had in this dangerous and challenging time. You will, of course, know that you will want to know how we've fared economically as we face these difficult headwinds. Well, because of the events that I've reminded you of, our public finances are understandably no longer in surplus. We're working hard to get out of a deficit and back to a surplus as soon as possible. But our economy is on track and continues to grow. Our forecast GDP for 21-22 is just shy of £2.6 billion. That already surpasses the pre-pandemic GDP level and represents an increase of £173 million, or 7.2% growth in nominal terms over the estimate for the year before. The gross trading profits of companies in Gibraltar grew by 10.5% over the year, and income from employment increased by 3.6% as the number of employees' jobs rose by 3% over the year. In fact, employment levels are where they were pre-pandemic. Jobs in the financial services sector are up almost a third since we first formed government in Gibraltar in 2011. In that respect, our recent grey listing by the Financial Action Task Force has obviously been a disappointment. The FATF decision is one which will impact our financial services sector, but we do not believe it will impact jobs. We're not challenging the fairness of our grey listing. We respect the FATF decision. But the truth is that we do not believe that objectively Gibraltar deserves to be anything other than whitelisted. By working with the FATF, with industry, that is to say you, and with law enforcement, we sincerely believe that we will be able to resolve the issues that led to our grey listing being resolved in short order. We're working for that to lead to early delisting, we hope as early as in the next 12 months. Because as Albert has set out, we have been clear from the moment that we were elected. The only future we countenance for Gibraltar is a future of the highest standards of regulation. A future where Gibraltar meets the most exacting international standards. A future when those who are in Gibraltar are acknowledged to be the most reputable and the best, as is already the case in our insurance and online gaming sectors. So we will be at the forefront of best international practice, whilst robustly maintaining and indeed developing the attractiveness of doing business in Gibraltar. Those established in Gibraltar must come to our fiscally competitive jurisdiction to add value to the services that they provide to the clients they service in other jurisdictions. We will not fall into the trap of being a place where anything is evaded or any regulatory requirement is avoided. But we will keep Gibraltar growing as a first-tier business venue. And delivering those standards and that competitiveness is what the United Kingdom expects from a partner to whom it has continued to allow privileged market access. Exactly as former Prime Ministers Cameron, May and Johnson agreed to do in the aftermath of Brexit. Exactly as we both committed we would do to former Treasury Minister John Glenn. And exactly what I committed to deliver in correspondence with a former Chancellor, one Rishi Sunak MP. Because that is what you expect from Gibraltar too. And that is what has strengthened our relationship with the modern city of London in a post-Brexit environment. In that respect, let me tell you, 10 years in, I confess I have often found this particular annual engagement a little daunting. Assembled here are some of Gibraltar's top financial services professionals, some of our best brains. Also with us are some of the top professionals in the City of London. What's a socialist politician doing wooing city slickers and banking supremos, you might ask? Well, going beyond and behind the labels and the stereotypes, ignoring the dog whistle politics that has created problems in nations around the world, understanding that Gibraltar sells world-class services and those services create jobs at every level in our economy, and that those jobs create wealth for every sector and strata of our society and the communities around us too. So with the current cost of living issues, it's even more important for me to be here today, to attract and consolidate business and create more wealth so that we make our public finances stronger more quickly and we create more jobs and have greater firepower to help the few that cannot make ends meet. That is the right thing to do. Because you know, and I can assure you, that in Gibraltar, the adults have consistently been in charge since the arrival of constitutional government. Each successive administration has understood, in their own way, the importance of our relationship with London, both politically and commercially, and the importance of your sector to our socio-economic development. So although I cannot predict the future, I can assure you of continued mature and rational administration in Gibraltar. No dog whistle politics and no populism. The people of Gibraltar can see through that. In fact, I can tell you that I surprise myself in being able to boast that we are now one of, if not the longest serving, most stable governments in Europe. Who would have said in 2011? In turbulent times, there is nothing better for one of the smallest European territories than stability, efficiency, and strong international relationships. And that is where we hope to position our future relationship with the European Union and with our neighbour Spain, away from the easy, pejorative slogans of the past, moving to a mature and well-thought-out relationship that secures fluid movement of people across our frontiers, creating, with your help, even more shared prosperity for Gibraltar and the region around us. Over 50 years after General Franco first imposed restrictions on movement from Gibraltar, we may be on the cusp of a historic deal that I hope will recast our relationship with both Europe and with modern Spain. I echo Spanish Foreign Secretary José Manuel Alvarez's hopes that we are all committed to delivering a new treaty that can put the spectres of the past behind us. And I join our own Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, in saying that we will play our part in ensuring that any agreement enhances security, encourages trade, and delivers prosperity, always respecting and not crossing each party's important concerns on sovereignty. In fact, we see a treaty with the EU as a lightning rod for investment in Gibraltar and the region around Gibraltar, so that finally that rainbow of opportunities that we have long seen in the distance will deliver its elusive pot of gold to everyone on our rock and in our region. A safe and secure UK-EU treaty can make Gibraltar and the region around us a geopolitical pivot to Africa, to Europe, to the Mediterranean, and to the mid-Atlantic. And even without a treaty, there will be much that we can continue to do with you. We can, of course, and we are planning for all eventualities and working as hard on all potential outcomes, because that is the only responsible way to act, and indeed, the only way to negotiate. Just today, the Deputy Chief Minister, the brilliant Dr. Joseph Garcia, is issuing a technical preparatory notice for a no-deal outcome. We all sincerely hope, however, that such technical notices will be able to gather dust on shelves for many years to come. So all that remains for me to do is to thank you for your patience this morning, for your support throughout the pandemic period, and in particular now in the post-Brexit era. Going forward, we'll each add value to our respective clients and constituents by continuing to work together, whatever the outcome of the UK-EU negotiations, although I do hope that that will be a positive outcome. Now I'll hand you over to one of our best friends at the Foreign Office, the Permanent Under-Secretary Philip Barton, a former Deputy Governor of Gibraltar who knows the lay of the land on the rock better than most. Thank you.